Hello everyone, what is up and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be the camera comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S21 and the Samsung Galaxy S22 ULTRA. So I don't want to talk much in the intro because we have a lot to test out and cover. So this is going to be a very short one. So now let's get started and take a look at the photos and videos that I've shot, and let's compare the differences between the S21's camera and the S22 ULTRA's camera. This is going to be really interesting because you're comparing the base model to the next generation bleeding edge tech. So it's going to be fun. Let's get started into the video. So firstly, we're going to start out with the front facing camera on both the phones. This is going to be shooting a normal selfie video. So let's start with the basics first and we'll go on to more features. So here's a selfie video that I'm recording on both the Samsung Galaxy S21 and the Samsung Galaxy S22 ULTRA. Both the phones are recording at Ultra HD 60 frames per second. And so just take a look at both the videos and tell me how they look. Both the phones sounded the exact same to me, but I found a slight difference in the microphone. I feel like the S21's microphone had better audio quality than the S22 ULTRA's one. I feel like the background noises were slightly lower in the S21 compared to the S22 ULTRA. Well, these are just my opinions. If you need, just go and rewind this video back and take a look at both the video samples again and let me know in the comments below which front cam video or which front camera's microphone that you like the most. And now with the front facing camera of both the phones done, now let's move on to a 4:3 photo that I've taken on both the phones. Let's say this is just to test the normal image quality. So this is a 4:3 image and we're going to test out which phone takes a better image in this aspect ratio. And just to clarify that none of this video has been photoshopped, and also both the photos that were taken are actually in the same settings. So let's just take a look at them now. Okay, so here we have the photo and we can clearly see that the tree bark is actually having lesser contrast than the S22 ULTRA. The S22 ULTRA is actually having darker contrast, especially on the dark patch on the tree, and the S21 is actually having a lighter approach on the tree. I don't know why if I'm the only one feeling like this, but I feel like the S21's photo is actually zoomed in more than the S22 ULTRA's one. I feel like the S22 ULTRA is having a wider range in this photo. But that's just my opinion, and I also feel like it's darker, like I said before. That was just a normal photo. It wasn't much of a big deal with it because that was just a photo. But now let's move on to some demanding photos, like having highlight exposure and just to see how the phone handles it. I've actually tried this, taking a photo of the sun on both the phones at the same time at the same place. So let's just take a look at both the photos and let's see how both the phones handles high amount of light exposure. So here's a photo that I took. This isn't a photo directly on the sun, but it shows the sun. Here we can see on the S21, the S21 has all the light flares in between, which the S22 ULTRA doesn't have. The photo looks pretty clean compared to the S21, and it's not just the sun. You could just clearly see the contrast of the greens on the grass on the S22 ULTRA is higher than the S21. I feel like the S22 ULTRA's grass is actually darker. The trees on the S22 ULTRA are also greener compared to the S21, and the overall photo on the S21 is actually quite zoomed in, and the S22 ULTRA is not zoomed in. It's actually zoomed out. The S22 ULTRA is covering slightly more, so it covers a little more things than the S21 covers in its photo. Okay, so in this photo, I really decide on who's the winner because this photo comes down to perspective. Some people like the sun's rays to be on their photo, while some don't really like it. Some prefer their photo to be neat, whereas some prefer their photos to be more natural and be the way it was. So this definitely does come down to preferences. So you're going to choose which photo you like. So I can't really be the one judging on this photo is not, this photo is not, because that definitely goes down to your own personal opinions. So for this photo, I'll just leave it up to you to see which one is better. Now we have taken a look at how the photo looks under direct sunlight with a few blocks and just in a more of a natural setting. And now with the sun done, the right way to go on to the next photo is by taking a look at how a photo and video looks like under the moon. That's right, we're going to take a look at night mode. Let's go! Okay, so here we have both the photos on the S21 and the S22 ULTRA. It's very clear that both the photos don't have much difference on them, but there are definitely a few minor details, like my face on the S22 ULTRA is definitely brighter than the S21, and it's also clearer. The S21 is actually taking a much softer and more blunt look, and of course the picture quality is also dropping than the S22 ULTRA. So the S21 has a more softer approach to the picture, but the S22 ULTRA has a more natural and sharper approach. And we could also see that the overall picture is better and it looks more cleaner than the S21. So we don't really have much to compare in this picture. Okay, so this is a video recording of me at night. So it's around 8 to 9 p.m. and I'm recording. So look at the quality. So far I'm seeing on my phone screen that the Samsung Galaxy S21 is actually darker. Okay, here I can see that my face is clearly not visible, but on the 22 Ultra my face is clearly visible on the night mode. Okay, now we have taken a look at the photo and video from the Galaxy S21 and the Galaxy S22 Ultra. And so firstly, let's talk about the photo. The photos, like I've said, don't really have much difference in them, but the videos, we could clearly see that the S22 Ultra beats out the S21 in night mode video. The S22 Ultra's video is very much usable actually. We can't really say that the video is unusable. I mean, quality of the video is definitely not the highest quality, but definitely the brightness and how the S22 just shows my face is actually really good. And especially if you're someone who's actually taking a video at night or something, or if you're just vlogging at night, then definitely the S22 Ultra is the one to go. And the S21, we could clearly see that it's very dark, and in some places you could only hear my voice, but you couldn't see my face at all. It was just pitch black. And well, that's the S21 and the S22. So here we don't have a personal choice. The S22 Ultra is the clear winner here. So since this was a clear win and we didn't really have much to test out about, I didn't really go about testing night mode a lot. So that's night mode on the S21 and on the S22 Ultra. And now let's move on and test out OIS on both the phones. OIS meaning optical image stabilization. Let's go. Here we could see that the S22 Ultra doesn't shake that much, because when I shake the phone, we could clearly see that the S21 is actually shaking more vigorously than and the S22 Ultra is actually instantly kicking up. It's like it instantly kicks up some of the sensors. Okay, so that was definitely a huge difference, especially the bigger sensors. And now I want to take a look at the macro shots first, but the macro shots were really beautiful shots that I took. But before we go to the macro shots, please take a look at my face again in the portrait video, and then we'll take a look at the flowers in macro mode. In this portrait mode, we could see that the S22 Ultra is actually quite zoomed in. It's a little more zoomed in the S21 itself, because the S21 is a little zoomed out and it's like a normal selfie video that we record. But the S22 Ultra is actually quite zoomed in. But the colors on the S22 Ultra are also, I don't know whether to take it in a positive or in a negative way, but the colors on the S22 Ultra are also quite different, because my skin tone is clearly different from the S21 and the S22 Ultra. But the background blur is the same. There's no difference in the background blur. So now here with me, I have a front-facing portrait photo of me on both the S21 and the S22 Ultra. And here we could see that the S21 is actually having a greater blur, as in the background blur is better than the S22 Ultra. We could see that the signage on the back of the S21 are not visible, whereas the signage on the back of the S22 Ultra is not clearly visible, it's somewhat visible, and we could actually see more of the background. We could see myself, but some of the background is actually getting a more exposure. And as for my face in this photo, we could clearly see that the S22 Ultra is brighter, it's showing my face brighter, and my skin tone is actually slightly different than the S21. Yep, that's right, the faces are good, but the background blur is a bit of a mess here and there. Okay, so this was a slightly interesting comparison, especially the portrait photo and video, because in the portrait photo, S22 Ultra definitely took its lead. It was perfect, but in the selfie video, I'm actually giving it to the S21, and that's because the S22 Ultra totally got my skin tone wrong. Okay, I'm not trying to get a revenge on the S22 Ultra for getting my skin tone wrong, but I'm just saying that the S21 actually gets the skin tone better than the S22 Ultra. The S22 Ultra just increased the skin tone contrast and made my skin look more red, but the S21 was normal. With that done, now let's take a look at a few of the macro shots that I took on both the Samsung Galaxy S21 and the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. In this macro shot, we could clearly see that the S22 Ultra is having a better picture even at a closer range. And just to give a disclaimer that both the photos were taken at the same exact range from the tree from the plant, and we could see that the S21 is actually zoomed in, and the photo is pretty much very blurred, and it doesn't even look like a normal photo. It looks too narrow to be a normal photo. But on the S22 Ultra, if we see, we could say that the plant's branch and the stems are actually visible, and the texture of the leaves are also visible in this photo. Now in this second photo of a leaf, I don't think I have to talk about it. We could clearly tell that both the phones are very close from the leaf, but the S22 Ultra picked up the details of the leaf. It basically picked up every line, every minute details on of the leaf, but the S21 was just a blob of green with just a few lines in it. So the S21 is clearly losing its place in the macro shot, we could clearly see, but the S22 Ultra is pretty impressive. Now onto the third picture, which is definitely going to be a better one than this. So this is, I guess, the most beautiful picture in this whole photo camera test, and this is a photo of a flower. I mean, it's not a flower, but it's a flower plant. Here we could see that the S21 is pretty good for its photo, but we could clearly see that the flowers on the back of the S21 are actually totally blurred out. We can't see them at all. And even the flowers which are the closest to the camera are pretty blurred out and they don't look very clean. And leaves on the plant also looks like it's far away from the plant and not really close to it. And the overall photo looks like it's taken from afar and not really close. But on the S22 Ultra, we could see that the camera is actually really close to the flower just by the perspective. We could just clearly see that the photo is just better. Even the flower at the bottom is also highlighted and not a single minute detail is left out. So those were pretty evident macro photos, but obviously I know that the flowers weren't really that evident in the macro shot. For example, zooming into the object really closely, but I guess the leaf was pretty evident in showing how different the macro shots on both the phones are. And I guess that was a really good comparison and photo. Now with that done, we're on to the last camera test, which is the hyperlapse. So I know that not a lot of people usually use hyperlapse because it's usually a time consuming. So now let's test out hyperlapse and see which phone has the better one. So now let's just compare it. Yep, I know that I wasn't talking during the hyperlapse video, and that is because I actually spent a really long time taking those 2 minutes of footage. Yep, it was just a 2 minutes footage that you guys saw, so I didn't really want to talk in between those footage and just spoil the way you guys are watching it. And just leave it in the comments below which hyperlapse that you prefer. But for me, I feel like the hyperlapse on the S22 Ultra was slightly faster than the S21. Hyperlapse are meant to be fast, but I felt like the S22 Ultra was even faster than the S21. So that's just my opinion. And yep, that's the camera test for the Samsung Galaxy S21 and the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. So in this camera test, definitely the S22 Ultra won a lot of the camera comparisons, and that is definitely common because this is a new flagship phone and the other one is just a previous year's entry-level model. This is perfectly normal. And now, according to the camera test, if you're someone who want to buy whichever phone, be the S21 or be the S22 Ultra, my recommendation to someone who's gonna buy this phone for a camera is, if you're someone who's gonna take a lot of photos, or if you're actually traveling overseas. I mean I know now it's COVID time and like no one is traveling, but in case if you're someone who takes a lot of photos, like you're someone who takes advantage of all the macro shots and all the 10x telephoto and all the unique features, then you're someone who has to go for the S22 Ultra. But if you're someone who's like 90% of the people who takes just regular photo, all you need is just a regular camera just to snap your daily life or just to snap some beautiful memories, then I guess the S21, it's already more than enough for you. That's the maximum you could use of the camera. And of course I used all the features now, and that is because I wanted to test out how the camera is and just do a camera comparison for all of you to watch. But other than that, I don't think I will ever have a situation where I'll have to use the 100x or the telephoto camera even, or I will ever be in the situation to use it. I don't really think so. That's my verdict actually for the camera test. So if you're buying for the camera, then don't really upgrade, because it's not really worth it. These differences are just subtle, so you don't want to waste your $1,000 on buying the S22 Ultra. And yep, that's been it. And if there's any feedback, or if you all have any comments that you want to say about this video, or generally about all the videos that I make, do leave it in the comments below. Like I said, I will be sure to read all the comments that you guys put. So yeah, with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch all of you in the next one. Bye bye.